So document B is really interesting actually because it's describing life in the military, and there are 5 different little sections here, okay, where they're going to talk about some strengths and weaknesses. Again, it is how you interpret it, right? We've seen some strengths of Spartan education so far, just from reading this document and document A, include toughness, self-discipline, cunning and cleverness, and then accepting consequences for failure. We also see some weaknesses, putting more emphasis than necessary on the physical. No mention of the development of the mind, other than learning how to, again, be cunning or possibly even manipulative. They're not talking about developing the mind. They don't want to encourage critical thinking. They don't want them challenging authority or questioning things or exploring or doing any kind of scientific inquiry. There's also, harshness and cruelty, not having footwear, the clothing, the hunger, starving small boys, the stealing, the whippings, no moral concern for the victim of the stealing. Right? So these are all things that, you could argue are weaknesses. So I'm going to pick one of each and some good quotes that go along with them. So let's pick for a strength. Let's say, let's do the foot one. So they talk about softening the boys' feet by requiring them to harden their feet by going without shoes. Okay? And the theory behind this, as it says, is that this would enable them to climb hills more easily and descend steep inclines with less danger. Okay. So the argument here, right, is that this is a strength, and that the reason it's a strength is because it teaches toughness. This shows boys how to be tough and better equipped to handle their environment, or you could also use the word terrain. It's fine too. Now again, the opposite side of that argument is, why are you making young boys be barefoot? Shoes exist for a reason. Are you insane? Right? That is completely unnecessary. Okay, let's pick, and don't even mention the part about clothing here, but we'll skip over that because I did go over that one in class. Let's talk about weaknesses. Let's see. We can say, let's do the food one. So, their hunger, unsatisfied. So here they talk about starving children, like actually not feeding children. And their argument for this is that this training, that they would be able to work on an empty stomach, continue working, empty stomach, and carrying on longer without food. Okay, so in theory, this doesn't sound like a terrible idea until you remember that they are literally children, right? So you could argue that for older men who voluntarily enlist in the military, this could be a helpful exercise in practicing self-discipline and pushing your body to its limits. For young boys, on the other hand, right, starving them hinders or hurts their growth and development. Because again, if you're a grown man, you're enlisting in the military by choice, obviously not in Sparta, but I'm saying in general, right? If you were a grown man enlisting in the military by choice, and they say, okay, we're going to do this exercise in self-discipline. We're going to go without food for this amount of time. You're kind of like training your body. Okay, that's one thing. But like, then you have growing boys they're not even adults, right? And, you're basically starving them, and they should learn that without that food, right, that they're not going to develop properly. We know how important nutrition is for growing children, and obviously this is going to get in the way of that.